Hello my friends and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 New Dawn run. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're playing another character that has secretly gotten significant buffs with the New Dawn patch, the Gladiator. So there's two reasons that this character got a lot better. Firstly, is the addition of the Vorpal Sword. The Vorpal Sword is a medieval weapon, which means there's now 8 medieval weapons in the game with the medieval weapon tag. And one of those is the crossbow, which you can't use as the Gladiator, but that's enough that you can very reliably use medieval as your main weapon tag and still get 6 different weapons. Previously, you wanted to use primitive for the same reason, which is still a great option as well, but the medieval weapons give you some additional cool abilities, as well as some great defensive stats, which can be an issue for this character. Secondly, because the Gladiator can't equip ranged weapons, your pool of weapons to draw from is much smaller. And also, a lot of items that care specifically about ranged damage or ranged weapons are naturally barred from showing up in the shop for the Gladiator. So when you can ban items with this character, you're banning from a much smaller pool. So you're relatively speaking strengthening your shop significantly more. So this character not only has a new weapon tag that's much easier to use for it, it also is going to see significant shop improvements because it's banning from a much smaller pool. So this is a character that has gotten some real boosts with the addition of the new systems in the new patch. We're going to start with the Jousting Lance, of course, because that is the weapon that is fully medieval, and so it's going to make sure that we see more medieval weapons showing up in the shop. And then we're going to roll, and we'll take 5 Harvesting. So here I will take Quarterstaff and Spiky Shield. This is going to give us a big boost to our attack speed. I actually thought Sharp Bullet couldn't naturally show up for the Gladiator, but I guess it can, so we're going to ban it. Goat Skull, I think, isn't worth banning, but we won't lock it either, because 3 melee damage is nice, but we're primarily concerned about getting really powerful economy items early, though we will definitely lock the Coffee here. Alien Worm, I'm also going to leave in the pool. There's a chance we might need max HP, and then we're going to roll, we'll lock a Quarterstaff, and we'll lock a Broken Mouth, and then we're in great shape here. So we've got 3 weapons, which, as the Gladiator, is giving us a 40% attack speed boost. Actually, it's 60% minus the 40% starting, so we have 20% more than a normal character would at this point. And that's awesome for Jousting Lance, because attack speed is the main stat that Jousting Lance cares about. It has very high base damage, but very low base attack speed, so improving your attack speed naturally, really good for that item. I'm going to roll here. I'm looking for Harvesting if possible, and we'll roll again, and then we'll take 5 Harvesting, and then we can buy another Quarterstaff. We'll end up combining this with the existing Quarterstaff that we have, because we want 6 different weapons, but until we get those weapons, there's no penalty for having 2 of the same weapon on the Gladiator. It's not like the Curious or something where you have to combine your weapons, or the King. You can just have 6 weapons of the same kind if you want, you just won't be getting the bonuses as powerfully. So here we rolled more of the same weapon. That's still okay. We're very happy to just lock this entire shop and go on to the next one. We're playing a beer-assisted run today, so we'll see how my plays do later on. Really nice to get that kill on the clam, because they drop extra materials. We're going to ban boiling water. We're never going to build elemental damage, so we're just going to ban that out of the pool immediately. Here, I would love to roll more Harvesting, so I'm going to re-roll and re-roll. We'll take 5 Harvesting, and I'm going to spend 5 on a re-roll here again. If I don't roll into Harvesting, I could buy Regeneration or Armor, something like that. I think I will just take the 1 armor. Going up to 3 armor is going to make us significantly stronger, and we'll get another one when we buy more medieval weapons, so do that. We now have 4 armor. We'll buy our Quarterstaff. I'll take the Coffee here and then do a reroll, and we'll lock the Quarterstaff. Charcoal. I do want more melee damage. This is a fairly inefficient way to buy it, but I think I will still lock the Charcoal. It's just good enough to increase our melee damage. even at the cost of harvesting. That might slow down our ability to reach 21 harvesting, because if we get... although, I guess we're going to hit level 5, so we would get a +8 harvesting level up if we found one this wave. And then losing 2 would still keep us growing by 2 every wave, so still fine. And kill that tree there, and then we will kill that curse alien. There should be another curse alien spawning somewhere. Yep, here it is. So I'm gonna kill that. Making sure not to stop moving, because we have jousting lances, so we take a damage penalty when we do that. And then it's all gonna work out exactly as I suggested it would. We'll take 8 harvesting, then we'll lose 2 of it. Here, I'm going to pick up dodge. One of the great things about the medieval weapon tag is that it lets you build dodge, because it gives you 6 dodge to start with. And dodge gets better the more of it you have. So when you have a weapon tag that gives you some dodge, it makes buying dodge significantly more efficient. Interesting spot here. Do I want to level the quarterstaff or level the jousting lance? I think we'll level the quarterstaffs, and we'll go with 3 lances, because leveling quarterstaff, you get higher XP gain. Actually, combining level 2s doesn't give you higher XP gain. So going from 2 level 1s to a level 2 takes you from 4 to 5, but then you go from 10 back down to 9, so I probably should have done the combinations in a different way there to maximize my experience gain in the early game here. We'll lock the spiky shield, of course. That's another medieval weapon. We want to upgrade that. And then I'll lock the little frog as well. Although I am building dodge, pickup radius is pretty good for this character, and the harvesting is really nice early. It's also relatively cheap. I'm going to roll past all these non-medieval weapons. But ritual I will take, and fresh meat I think is efficient enough to buy anyways. Similar to plant, even though we're probably going to be using regeneration more than we're using lifesteal on this character. The Gladiator gets an attack speed boost, and just boosting all of our healing stats is really nice. Lifesteal can be pretty expensive to buy, so even at the cost of 1 regeneration, which is a stat we'll also want, it's still worth it to buy the fresh meat there, I think. Taking a few extra hits here, so we should get that healing sooner rather than later. Nice to get that curse alien kill, though. There should be a guaranteed curse alien spawn, a second one this wave. I don't know where it went, though. We'll take 10 more attack speed, even though we will get a lot of attack speed just by buying weapons on this character. We've actually ended up with only 3 different weapons currently, so we're a little low on attack speed, and attack speed is still just a really good stat. Even if you buy a lot of it, it's still excellent. We'll roll here. Again, 2 weapons we have. I'm going to ban the turret. I just don't think we're ever going to do engineering on this character, but I won't reroll with only 1 slot open. So you should start seeing that our shop will improve significantly. As is, we've actually not been able to ban a lot of things just because we've rolled good items in basically every shop. So we've just been locking everything instead of banning it. But as we go later on into the run, you're going to see, because we're drawing from a smaller pool of items and we'll have banned 8 items, we're going to get just better shops overall. I think it's easy to underestimate how impactful banning even 1 bad item is on your odds of finding items that you want. I see a lot of people saying that, like, banning 1 item early doesn't matter that much, but it really, really does. We're gonna ban this Gummy Berserker, and then I will pick up probably just 2 armor. The regeneration would also be nice, but armor is more important. Then I'm gonna reroll here, and I will take 5 harvesting. One thing I need to remember playing this character, though, is that you can't as easily find high-level level-ups because you have minus 30 luck. So if I get a shop of all level 1 level-ups, my normal inclination is, of course, to re-roll them, because usually you can do better. But for this character, that's not necessarily true. I think we will... Well, we'll definitely buy the weird food. We'll lock the metal. I think I will lock the alien worm here, although consumable heal is important to us. We just bought a weird food, so we've got good consumable heal, and I do want to boost my max HP. Let me do a reroll here, and then boxing glove. I just don't think we're ever going to care about the 1 melee damage on this character, so we're just going to go ahead and ban that. And even though boxing glove isn't like the worst item we could find, it's probably somewhere in the like second quartile, somewhere between 25% and 50% on the scale of best items. It's just worse than the items that we want to buy, so we are usually going to just not want to see it in the shop. You don't have to ban the worst items. You just have to ban any item that you are not going to buy if it shows up again, because it makes the items that you are going to buy more likely to appear. And it's the same rolling past a boxing glove as it is rolling past a white flag or some other terrible item. Either way, all that you did was just not buy the item. It doesn't matter whether the item is really bad when it shows up in the shop or just bad. It's still a 0 value. I'm going to take the penguin here, of course. We want increased regeneration. And then my damage is actually starting to feel a little bit low, so I'll just take 12% damage and just boost my damage output. Here, we're going to buy this entire shop, and now we're up to 37 HP. We've got some regen and some lifesteal. Roll again. The spiky shield, I guess I will buy. We can combine our jousting lances and buy the spiky shield. We will lock the goblet and the fresh meat. Ugly tooth, I don't think we're ever going to buy, so we'll just get rid of that, and then we're going to roll. And sunglasses, I'm going to... let's see, how's our crit damage multipliers on all our weapons? Quarterstaff has 1.5. Spiky shield has ×2. Jousting lance has ×2. We have a bunch of negative crit chance already. I think we'll just pass on the sunglasses. And since I'm passing on it, I'm just going to ban these 2 items so that they don't show up to annoy us in future. And similarly with the ugly tooth, a question I get pretty frequently is, why would you ban a unique item? You can just buy it. But we don't want to buy it. So we just don't want it to show up in the shop, because every time it does, it's an item that is completely useless to us in the shop, that's taking the place of an item that we could buy. And it's not worth spending like 50 materials on getting 1 extra ban. Which is effectively what you're doing if you're buying a unique that you don't want, rather than just banning it. Here, I guess I'll take 7 crit chance. It's a higher level upgrade. Although our melee damage is pretty low. Let's just take the base melee damage. Alright, nice. We got a Vorpal Sword. That's exactly the item that we were hoping for in order to increase our attack speed even more. So let's combine our Jousting Lances. We'll buy a Vorpal Sword. And then I will buy the Cauldron and the Fresh Meat and do a reroll here. This Jousting Lance, unfortunately, I can't use, but we'll lock a Bone Dice. I don't want the hiking pole, even though it's cursed, which is nice, because I don't want to remove my medieval weapon tag. Although, cursed hiking pole does just give you a lot of range over time. We have 1 Jousting Lance boosting our move speed, I guess. You know what, let's buy this. We will replace this hiking pole at some point pretty soon, probably. But in the meantime, it can just give us a bunch of extra range for free. And make other cursed items more likely to show up. I think I'm curious how many points of range we're going to actually get out of it. Looks like we're probably... Yeah, we've gotten 2 so far. So we're probably getting about 4 or 5 per wave, which is not really enough to have invested in the hiking pole. If it was a higher level, then this would be more valuable. But as is, we're probably better off not getting cute and buying an item like this. But just for fun, it's kind of nice to be able to explore boosting your range. Then even when you sell the hiking pole, you still keep that extra range. Here, I could take more lifesteal. We could just be a lifesteal build. I think I might just do that because our regeneration's pretty low. We've bought a lot of items that decrease it. So I'm just gonna focus on lifesteal for now. We'll still want regeneration probably, but we are buying a goblet and losing even more. All right, well, we got another hiking pole, so I guess I'll do this, and we'll see how many stats the level 2 hiking pole gets us. Obviously, you wouldn't do this if it wasn't cursed, but since it's cursed, it can be kind of interesting to do it that way. I don't think it's worth investing in upgrading it again. Although maybe we can just end up with tons of range, which would be kind of funny. So I think I will buy this. Again, I don't think this is super optimal, but it is neat that we can boost our range so high. Alloy we're going to pass on. We do want to build dodge, and 3 melee damage is just not that exciting for this character. I will take the insanity at this point. This is an efficient way to buy crit chance, and I will take the plant. Even though we're currently at negative regeneration, we do want to fix that. Basically, this character gets so many free stats just from being the Gladiator. We just want to ensure that we're buying enough total stats of more or less any kind, rather than specific stats that we don't have a problem winning. We also have Horde waves coming up, so I don't need to focus that hard on defensive stats currently, because usually defensive stats are most important for elites. We have plenty of damage, and the extra attack speed from being the Gladiator will make it fairly easy to clear a Horde wave, so I'm just not worried about our first couple boss waves. Typically, for most characters, if you're having trouble with a character, one thing that you can do is just re-roll until you have hordes for your first 2 boss waves, because they are, generally speaking, much easier than elites. And since it's randomized for the first 2, you can just re-roll or just restart the run if you are really struggling. We've got a lot of attack speed. I think I'll take a little extra movement speed, and then I'll take 3 armor here. The 9 HP is also nice, but armor's good. It scales the damage of our spiky shield as well. Buy both of these, and then roll. Clover, additional dodge is great, so I will buy that. We'll buy the bat. We'll re-roll here. I'll take the plant. I have quite a lot of pickup radius already, so I don't know that I really need the alien tongue. I think I will... And my regen, I think, isn't good enough to support Weird Ghost going into a Horde wave. So I think we will buy the Alien Tongue. We'll lock the Weird Ghost because I do want more HP. And then I will lock the Penguin and Black Belt. Both great items for us. I'm enjoying getting the extra range, even if I don't think it's particularly strong. So I'm going to try to pick up just some form of healing going into the next wave, just to make the Weird Ghost really easy to buy safely. Haven't yet had a one-shot trigger from my Vorpal Sword, I don't think. Our other weapons are longer range, so they're just killing everything before the Vorpal Sword can attack it. So the 1% chance of one-shotting stuff just hasn't had a chance to happen. Got the crate there, which is nice. Took a few extra hits, so I had to back off a little bit, but we're still in great shape. I'll take the Claw Tree here. I definitely want more crit chance and melee damage, and then I think I'll just take 4 melee damage. I could roll looking for some form of regeneration, but we've got a Penguin coming. This is not a Horde wave, so I'm just in much less danger. So I think we're fine to just buy the Weird Ghost there, which I do want to do because I want to boost my max HP. I'll take the Blood Leech here. Again, that helps make that safer purchase. We'll take the Weird Food to boost our consumable healing. Do I want the Compass? I think we can pass on that. It's just not that important for us. Take the Corrupted Shard, I'll lock the Mastery, and I'll roll. One thing we haven't found is other medieval weapons, really. I'll definitely buy Clover, we'll buy Insanity, and I guess we'll take Charcoal as well. More melee damage, still good for this character, even though a lot of our weapons scale not off of melee damage. It's still good to buy it for us. So I need to get... Ideally, I would drop a consumable, but of course with the Gladiator, you have lower luck, so consumable drops are a little rarer. But with our lifesteal and regen, we were able to heal back up without costing clear speed or anything. Get that tree kill. I'm gonna check how much range we've gotten from this hiking pole, because we are getting a decent amount. Though I spent like 200 materials on upgrading it to level 3. It's also doing okay damage for us, so it's not just the range that we're getting. I'll take the 9 HP here, because my max HP is a little low. So we've gotten 25 bonus range from this cursed hiking pole, and it did 4k damage, so it's actually outpacing the damage of our other weapons, though it is costing me 1 armor to have this, instead of another medieval weapon. Take the clover here, that gets me to positive luck, which is pretty nice for this character, and then let's buy everything else in the shop. Leveled up jousting lance, so at this point I am just going to sell out of the hiking pole probably, and go back to all medieval weapons. I will also buy the cursed alloy. Obviously when the alloy is cursed, it's a significant difference in terms of the item evaluation there. The cursed hiking pole is also providing some value from curse, where we're finding more cursed items, so that's not nothing either. It is weird that we haven't found the other medieval weapons. Either that or I've just rolled past them. When you roll a weapon in the shop, the game has a chance of just rolling a weapon that you currently have. I forget what the exact numbers are, but it's like a 20% chance of rolling a weapon that you currently have, and a chance of rolling a weapon that shares a tag with a weapon you have, which could be also just a weapon that you have. So you're more likely to find specifically the weapon that you have, and then you're also more likely to find weapons that share a tag with weapons that you are holding. We'll take 6 more melee damage there, and then I'm going to buy the alloy. I think I might actually sell out of... I could sell out of the spiky shield. It is... No, because that would reduce the number of different weapons that I have. So let's sell out of the quarterstaff here to buy the jousting lance. Because I actually want to keep the hiking pole, but I think the jousting lance is just a little bit better in terms of its damage output for us. 53 HP is fine. I'm just going to roll here, and then the wheat I will take. We'll lock that, and we'll roll again. We don't need an alloy here or a bone dice, so we're just going to go to the next wave. I don't know. Selling that quarterstaff for the jousting lance was pretty unnecessary, honestly. I had intended to swap the hiking pole for it, but I think the hiking pole is actually our best weapon right now. Just because it's cursed, so it's doing more damage than our other weapons. And while I could have gotten an extra armor by trading that out, I shouldn't have. But then I just kind of got my wires crossed and was like, alright, I'm gonna buy the jousting lance. I should sell something for it, but not this anymore. So, changing plans in the middle got me there. You can see why I would like more armor, though. Even with the amount that we have and pretty decent healing, we're still struggling a little bit to survive with only 11 armor when I take a bunch of damage. I'll take the stone skin. We're very happy to pick that up. Weird Ghost, I think I'll pass on at this point. Now we have 66 HP, and I'd rather just buy armor. I'm gonna re-roll here, and I'll just take 1 armor. It also gives us a max HP. And my percent damage is bad. My crit chance could improve as well, as could my regen, but let's just take 12% damage. I think that's going to be the most valuable. Take the wheat here and then roll. Warrior helmet is kind of perfect. It does decrease the damage of my jousting lances, but it gives us tons of HP, tons of armor, and also boosts the damage of spiky shield, so it's a slight decrease to our damage overall, but still a pretty nice item for us. We'll take the mastery here. Increasing our melee damage, of course, is very good. So now I'm kind of hoping that my Vorpal Sword will let us just one-shot the elite, and then we don't have to worry about fighting it. Obviously, the Vorpal Sword is not contributing that much right now because our weapon damage is pretty high on our long-ranged weapons, like the hiking pole and the jousting lances. So those are stealing all the kills from our other weapons, even if they're lower DPS weapons, technically. Having longer range means that they're going to put up bigger numbers, even if the weapon itself is not as strong. Yeah, I'll take 6 more melee damage. That's great. We'll buy the Mastery for even more. We'll reroll here. Very happy to buy a Gentle Alien as well, of course. Black Belt does give me more XP gain. We currently have 34%, which does benefit our Quarterstaff. As we level up, we'll do more damage with that. I think it is worth taking the Black Belt, because I can still reroll here, which is pretty nice. I'll definitely take the Saltwater. This is all stats that we're pretty happy with. The level 1 Quarterstaff doesn't do anything for us, neither do those other items. Something that's worth paying attention to at this point is how much higher a proportion of the items that show up in the shop we're buying than we would in a normal run, because we're playing the Gladiator and because we banned a bunch of items. So you can just see how the game does change significantly when you have that option. Did get a couple one-shot kills there with the Vorpal Sword, which is nice. Trying to kill at least a few Curse Aliens here. And I could take more max HP. We don't really need that. Let's reroll. I'll take more attack speed. 74 is good, but 89 is better. We'll take the Saltwater here and then reroll. Okay, a Gobbler's Hat. Even this late is probably worth it. I guess we would spend 354 and a huge amount of stats. I think we actually have to pass on the Gobbler's Hat. This, the amount of money that we would get from it is not going to be 354. Actually, it's probably pretty close. We would get about that much, maybe even a little more, but not enough that we would be able to make up for the huge penalties we would be taking. So given that we wouldn't be able to buy it until a very late wave, I'm going to pass on it. A Cursed Thief Dagger, I mean, I guess I could just swap out of the Jousting Lance, and we would be giving up the medieval weapon tag a little bit, but we get 20 attack speed and a Cursed Thief Dagger here, which is just a really nice weapon. So I'm going to do that. Fertilizer, we obviously don't need at this point in the game. Same with Tractor, but Insanity is worth locking as well. Now, we almost certainly will not be getting lots of Thief Dagger procs, because our crit chance isn't amazing. We don't have the precise weapon tag, really. And it's a very short-ranged weapon, so our other weapons are going to be stealing kills from it. But we're getting more than I thought we would so far. Mostly I got it, though, because it's a powerful cursed weapon, so it just does a lot of damage. The thing that Thief Dagger is held back by, usually, is it has low melee damage scaling. But when it's cursed, that improves the damage scaling. So the only downside of this otherwise just very strong weapon gets removed when you get a cursed version. And of course, the upsides all get stronger as well. So cursed Thief Daggers are one of the best cursed weapons in the game in terms of the amount that they improve the weapon. I'm going to recycle the fertilizer here. I don't think it will make the difference between hitting level 25 or not. So I'll recycle it. We'll take 8% damage here. Sure, Cursed Penguin is great. We'll take an Insanity. I'm going to roll past the Whistle, that type of economy item at this point we've kind of grown out of. And then we're going to roll again. Tardigrade we don't need. Let's re-roll. Okay, here's another medieval weapon. So I could swap one of my weapons. Let's say maybe the Spiky Shield is probably the least effective weapon that we have right now. The Hiking Pole is still doing pretty good work. I guess the downside of the mace, of course, is that it scales negatively with attack speed, which we have tons of. So I think we actually just will pass on the mace. I'm going to take the bag here because we're guaranteed 1 crate next wave when we kill an elite. So it immediately comes with a 15 material discount. And I think the bag will very likely pay for itself, even with very low luck. Gnome I could take as well, but 10 melee damage is only so-so for this character. It's probably still worth grabbing, even with relatively low melee damage scaling on all of our weapons, or on a bunch of our weapons. Spiky Shield doesn't scale with it at all. Hiking Pole only at 81%, and only because it's cursed. Thief Dagger 74. Jousting Lance only 50. Quarterstaff and Vorpal Sword have full melee scaling, but the 10 melee damage is still a big boost to our damage output. With super high attack speed, we should be able to kill the elite pretty quickly, even with a weapon set that's not incredibly well suited to fighting elites. Because I have Jousting Lance, I do want to keep moving around the elite rather than standing still. Against that elite, it never attacks directly at you, so you can stand still next to it and be safe from the elite itself, as long as your weapons are sufficient to take out the rest of the enemies on the field. Wave 18 on Abyssal Terrors is also pretty tough to fight elites on, and you can see why, because there's all of these mini-boss enemies, and they are pretty dangerous. We also have not managed to get good healing this wave so far, or this run so far, so I am in a little bit of danger here of dying, just by moving into enemy attacks a little bit too frequently. Just have to have better movement at the end of the wave. I just let too many mini-bosses spawn there. I will lose 2 armor for a bunch of luck. That's actually really good healing as well, because we have +3 consumable healing, so boosting our luck to where we're getting reliable consumable heals matters a lot. We'll take the helmet here. Baby Gecko we can pass on. Let's roll again. Banner we'll take. The attack speed is still very good, of course, and then we'll roll again. Shady Potion is kind of like a healing item in that it gives us consumable healing, but I think I'm going to roll here because I'm really looking for actual healing items. Here's another powerful medieval weapon, and I will take the Trident. This is going to be a much faster weapon for killing the bosses with. So we've ended up with, I don't know what we're at, but probably +50 or 60 range from the Cursed Hiking Pole, which is still not amazing, but it's also just been a good weapon for us. So the fact that it also gave us some free stats is definitely kind of nice. Getting that 12 dodge in the last shop was awesome. Our dodge was fairly low. Our defensive stats in general are pretty poor currently. So getting some boosts to those has been pretty nice. And we actually got great income this wave as well. The Alien Tongue, I think we have plenty of pickup radius. I'm going to recycle it. Here, I am going to re-roll. I could take 16% damage as well, but I think I would rather roll into armor or dodge or regen. And I'll take 5 regeneration, just getting that to the point where it can heal us at least a little bit. Our Spiky Shield is our worst weapon right now, so I'm going to recycle that for the Trident, which should make killing the elites much faster. Leather Vest is an awesome find. This is exactly the type of thing we're looking for. 30 dodge is around the breakpoint where buying dodge becomes really good. So getting to that point means any other dodge we find in this shop is really nice, but also 30 dodge is still enough that it meaningfully improves our effective HP. I'll take the defective steroids and the mushroom here and then roll again, and we're not going to get another good item. Leveling up our thief dagger would be nice, but I'll just take the cursed tree. The cursed tree is going to be more crates on the ground, which again is just more healing, so that should be good enough. All right, so not the most powerful version of this run because we didn't end up with a ton of medieval weapons, but kind of a fun version of the run where we ended up going off with the cursed hiking pole instead. Trying to DPS down the first boss that I face. Usually you prefer to kill the whale boss first, but I happened to see the snake boss first, and since I've started attacking it, I'm just going to finish it off, because that just makes it much easier to face the second boss. Keeping an eye on the fact that there is a tree to my left as well, and one up top, so if I ever really need a heal, like right then when I walked into 3 attacks in a row, I can back off and pick up a bunch of healing very quickly, because I know where it is on the map. Very important to keep tabs on where the healing exists on the field, so that you aren't just running around blindly when you need a heal in these slightly closer fights. And there we go, we managed to kill the bosses. So not the cleanest run, to be honest, but a pretty powerful showing for the Gladiator nonetheless, even with some play mistakes. The amount of damage that we got just from having tons of extra attack speed is awesome, and you can see how our shop meant that we bought pretty high quality items all the way through because we were much more likely to find those. So even without like huge early economy and stuff, we just ended up with really good stats across the board. Taking a look at those items, we ended up with actually not a lot of items that gave us sort of value over the run, which is part of why we were a little weaker in the end game. We didn't get a bag until super late. The bag barely paid for itself, so it wasn't really worth it, worth buying it. The recycling machine was okay, but again, recycling machine is worse on this character because you drop fewer crates with low luck. So this paid for itself and was fine, but wasn't amazing. Bone Dice was, I guess it was slightly over average in terms of the ratio there. Usually you get 5 to 1. We got slightly over 5 to 1. 444 healing from the goblet is awesome. That's a lot of healing that we got there. And then, yeah, actually, so this was part of, I guess, this was why I felt a little weaker in this run. If you look at our items, we just never found items that give you value over the course of the run early on. And those are often the most powerful items in the game. So interesting way that the shop's broke in this run. All right, my friends, hope that you enjoyed this. And of course, if you have, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out a ton with the algorithm. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, my friends. I'll catch you next time.